Boom.
Drop it.
There we are. We in the building. Sweet. So,
What's up?
if you're ready, man, we can start this bad boy.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on into it then. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? My name is not the road dog Jesse James, but Corey Elijah, and I'm here with my good friend KJ, and we are here with the Mission 3 podcast. What's going on, KJ?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. So, for those of you out there that do not know, the Mission 3 podcast is the premier transmission for gaming and real talk exclusively at playlegit.net. Every week we come through with 3 missions, 3 gaming topics, or 3 really, really real cool topics. Sometimes we stray away from gaming every once in a while, usually not, but sometimes if there's a cool movie or a trailer or something, sometime or an event, sometimes we talk about things like that. But typically we're talking about gaming. Always we're talking about real talk. 3 missions, and they're always awesome. So the second mission of every episode typically is going to be an agent's requested mission, but this week we kind of switched it up a little bit. But before we get into that, I do want you guys to check out playlegit.net, because that's the premier location for all things gaming and real talk as well. Right now you're going to find a cool review that we have up there of the Namco Museum, a fresh angle by our very own KJ. How do you feel about the Namco Museum, just to maybe give them a little tidbit?
So I'm not gonna go ahead and spoil that score, man, because I want you to click on it just to take it in, appreciate it. But I think one thing people will take away from it is just the fact that the games that are on this bundle, Namco didn't pace. They put a little bit more effort into it than you would expect, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the findings.
Nice. So make sure you guys check out KJ's review, as well as all the other cool content we have up on playlegit.net. That's where you're going to find the Mission 3 podcast. You're going to find reviews. You're going to find first looks of stuff. You're going to find what's just going on with everything Play Legit. You might even see some cool updates from your homie Gremlick every once in a while up there as well. So make sure you stop by playlegit.net, the premier location for gaming and real talk. Also, make sure every Friday you stop by the site, because that's when you're going to be able to get the playback of the show here. We go live every Monday, but every Friday is where you'll be able to find that audio feed for the podcast. So make sure you stop by every Friday to playlegit.net as well as every
Put
other
some
day.
real in your ears.
You know, always got to have something real in them earbuds. You know, you can't just be walking around for show. You got to have something playing out those beats. So it might as well be that Mission 3 podcast. All right. Other than that, I want to get into our agent's choice this week. Typically, the agent's request or the agent's choice is going to be a mission, but we switched it up a little bit this week because I've been slowly but surely being a little Jekyll and being a little Hyde here, and I thought it would just be, suitable for me to have a heel name for those of you that don't know what heel means in wrestling. When someone goes from a face, which is a good guy, slowly but surely sometimes they go heel, which means their character does a complete 180. They become a bad guy, at least in the eye of the public. So with some of our current revelations, I've been turning kind of heelish. Haggy was pretty heelish last week, but I've been a little bit more consistently heelish, I guess. So we had you guys vote.
The only thing you need is an NWO t-shirt. That's all you need now.
So since I've been so heelish, we decided to come up with a cool heel name for me, and you guys voted, and we came up with Dreadlock. So whenever I start turning heel, whenever the face goes away, will start addressing me as Dreadlock, and I'll get into character. Maybe I'll even come up with like a cool heelish accent, just in the vein of wrestling, just to make it so.
You want to know something, brother? Dreadlock.
So that is super cool. I definitely appreciate everybody that voted in the poll. I like that name. That was the name I was hoping would win. So Thanks everybody for voting in the poll. But today, 3 missions are going to be hand-selected missions by us. They're going to be dope missions though, so don't be upset that you didn't get to vote on the mission, only on the name. Next week we'll be back with an agent's choice for you guys to vote on for our second mission. This week we have some cool stuff for you though. We're going to be talking about games that involve toys or toys that involve games and vice versa, or work together. We're also going to be talking about forgotten Capcom titles that need a comeback for our second mission, and then we're going to be closing the show out with the third and final mission as the best soundtrack or score in games. So our favorite scores, our favorite soundtracks in games here. So it should be a good show. Make sure you guys buckle up and stay tuned. It's going to be a fast-paced, awesome broadcast for you. But with that said, KJ, if you're ready, we can go ahead and get into today's first mission.
Well, buddy, I just want to throw something at you and everybody else that's watching. If there's a game that you can think of as we're talking, be sure to post it in the comment box. We'll bring it up, and we'll just keep the discussion rolling and the mission's hot. So let's go.
All right. So for those of you out there that don't know, new to the show, maybe the first time you checked it out, because we have been having a lot of people helping us out, sharing the broadcast. We definitely appreciate all of you out there that are sharing the show with your family, friends, retweeting, tweeting out, sharing it on Facebook, all of that cool stuff. It's great. We definitely appreciate the love from each and every one of you. This is what we do it for. So on this first mission, we're going to be going in for 10 minutes. So we have to cover all that we have to cover within these 10 minutes, right? So if we, for some reason, 7 minutes goes by and for some reason we just don't have anything else to talk about, the mission has failed. If 10 minutes goes by and we didn't get all of our points across, then the mission has failed. So basically what our objective is to perfectly use 10 minutes to get our points across. Both of us are here. Typically we have 3 people here, which makes it even tougher. Today it's going to be a little bit easier for us since we're just going back and forth between me and KJ. But we have to utilize the 10 minutes, otherwise the mission is incomplete. There's only 3 missions, so there's a high probability that you're going to either fail or you're going to successfully get past the stage here, this 3-part stage of the week. So it's going to be a fun broadcast. We'll see if we can make it through all 3 of the missions here, but we're going to have KJ kick us off with these cool toys that involve games that involve toys, and all together, match up all together. So if you're ready, KJ, we can kick this off. Whenever you're ready, I'll begin the mission right now.
So Toys to Life, it's an interesting genre, man. I honestly don't know how I feel about it because, there'll be either a game that I think looks cool, utilize the game, look like garbage, or I'll see a game that, and the toys that utilize it look cool. And so I'm always like, can we get a common ground? And I found that Disney Infinity actually had something going for itself. It looked like people were enjoying it. We thought that the next Infinity game was going to come out and bring in the Marvel Universe even more so, even more Star Wars characters. It really seemed like the world was just going to expand so much. And then they pulled the plug on it. I don't know why that is, because I really thought it was doing well for itself. It's something that was really cool that could bring kids and adults into the game. I think it's a cool concept. I'm not sure if it's been fully done properly, man. I'm not sure where I stand on it. How you feeling?
So I'll agree. I was actually, when they announced that they were discontinuing it, I was kind of shocked just because, for one, it's Disney and they seem to be whorish when it comes to making money. And since they have so many properties, it only makes sense that, like, why would you not milk it? Like, people are paying for it. Kids are playing with it. We have adults collecting all of them. So I was definitely taken back by it. It was definitely a cool concept. I feel maybe they just got themselves into, maybe worked themselves into a corner where maybe it was too much work for them. Maybe they just didn't have the time to focus on just this. I know, especially studio wise, Marvel itself is kind of taken helm of their own characters, so maybe it has something to do with Marvel kind of wanting to control their property in a certain way, even though they have to operate under the hand of Disney. I'm sure Stan Lee maybe has a little pull, and since they definitely have been expanding on other platforms like PlayStation with their free to play games, things like that. Maybe that has something to do with it, but it was definitely fun. I didn't really play it too much, but I have younger cousins that played it a lot, and I definitely have played it with them a little bit. And I mean, I can understand, especially with kids in today's day and age, especially with the success of the Amiibo, which is still hot right now, in my opinion. I'm kind of surprised that they went back on it. Look at this. We have Mr. Incredible. We have
what's up?
we have Mr. Incredible. Like, look on the screen. There's all of these cool characters that you can work together. It's just so crazy how they got rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And then you have Skylanders. That's, of course, they like took Spyro and just used him as the conduit, and then he's just characters, and I think a lot of them look really bad in my opinion. But then there's also some other, and then they add Crash Bandicoot to that world also. In the store, I've seen Neo Cortex, Dr. Cortex, both of them in the store. I might add, but it seems like I hear that that's not doing as well anymore, but they still keep making those. Yeah, the core game of Infinity was better. So why are they canceling Infinity, but Skylanders is still thriving with toys minus Spyro and Crash? I mean,
yeah, it's who knows, man. Like, and that's why I mean, there had to be some sort of infighting or disagreement between just different factions within Disney or whatnot, or maybe the consoles just didn't want to support it anymore. Who knows? It's crazy. But let's get into the supreme commander when it comes down to this kind of genre, and that's going to be Nintendo with their Amiibo. They're still hard at work with their Amiibo. We even seen at E3 they announced that you'll be able to use the Link Amiibo in Skyrim for the Switch to get exclusive gear. They just continue to progress more and more with the Amiibo, different styles, more characters, even re-releasing rares that people may have paid $100 or $200 for just $11.99. So what's your thoughts on the Amiibo?
Amiibos to me, legit, let's be real, they copied. It's a copy, it's a ripoff. But I'm surprised, Nintendo usually the ones that come in and, they come out with the motion and all whatnot, but they're like, instead of people buying that they don't care about, they could buy our characters and we'll make toys out of them. And so what has been going on with these Amiibos that I like is now they moved on to other generations of systems, and I still have Amiibos that were interactive with the Wii U that I can still use on systems now. Nintendo has made special with these Amiibos the fact that I could buy something that will probably end up being 5 or 10 years online, and then it looks like I'll be able to use it on whatever modern Nintendo system that I have currently. And that is really, really good. And it's also how they implement these Amiibos. Sometimes they're used subtly in games. Sometimes they're used big. It might be in Mario Kart, you'll use Link and you'll get your Mii, a special Link costume. I took that Amiibo, used them in Breath of the Wild, and I unlocked the costume that Link wore in Twilight Princess. Like feet. It's DLC technically that it carries over to multiple games. Plus, it's actually something you can hold and look at and bring with you around. The fact that Nintendo did it this way is great. And honestly, I would like to see it being done on PlayStation. I would like to see an Amiibo-style character of Kratos for sure. I wanted a Kratos toy to see a Microsoft toy. There are plenty of cool looking Halo characters that I'd love to see like that. A detailed Master Chief figure. With that time that they put into making these toys detailed, and some of those other toy to life. Let's see that same detail. Let's see it done with a God of War. Let's see it done with a Master Chief. And I don't see why there's no stopping it. On the shelf. Let them little kids enjoy it if not.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. So out of all of the toys that, for the toy to life type toys, do you think that Nintendo implemented it the best way, being able to use it directly on the console, no added features really needed other than the Amiibo? Like when they came out on the Wii U, the gamepad already had, the section for the Amiibo to just go ahead, stick it right on there. You don't even have to connect it. You kind of just wave it in front of it. It recognizes the Amiibo with the scan.
I think that was intelligent.
And one thing I feel like they purposely, like, they designed this into the console. One thing Xbox would have to do, Sony would have to do, and anybody else that would be trying to get into this, they would have to implement it in a way where it would work with the console that you already have without having you have to buy another accessory. Now, I'm sure people would do that, but I think that's the one up that Nintendo has when it's implemented directly with the system. You don't need to buy something else. All you have to do is collect your figures, and you can wave it right across the console, and then you're good to go with that. So, and
yeah, that's a good point.
And then they also, they have the catalog of characters. Like you mentioned Xbox. They have Halo and all of the characters in that genre of video game, and all of the different titles that they have there, Gears of War, things like that. But when it comes down to characters,
get me started, bro.
When it comes
my
down,
God, I'd be so sick. Oh, go ahead.
And I agree. It definitely would be. But universally, I feel like Nintendo has such a large arsenal of characters that people have loved for almost their entire lives. It almost feels like it's like, of course people are going to buy these figures. I know people that collect Nintendo figures that aren't Amiibo and have for years. So it was almost like they knew they had this in their back pocket and were just kind of waiting for the technology.
Yeah.
Also, before
they copycatted, because I feel like they did.
Yeah. No, stuff like they definitely probably did, but they probably were like, oh, wait, yeah, there's that, but we can one up you, so people won't even think that we copied you. But that's why you're here, KJ. You're here to call people out. Maybe you'll need a heel name one of these days too. No, that's just real. That's not heel. That's real.
That's real time.
All right, so
let me get that Parappa the Rapper Amiibo. Let me get that.
Facts. That Spyro. Bring that Spyro, and actually give us a game with it instead of giving us an off-brand game to play Spyro with. And Crash Band. I'm surprised that they launched Skylanders with Spyro, but Crash got a game first. I don't know. People love Spyro. Hashtag bring back Spyros. We need to get that trending. So it looks like Mission 1 is complete. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, the streets don't want Spyro.
The streets, they don't want Spyro on the streets. It's not even the streets. It's just they, like Khaled said. They don't want Spyro. Whoever they are.
Yeah, they don't want him.
They don't want him. Whoever.
I don't hear y'all, man. That's the thing. Like, you might be sitting here at home, like, oh, he's so wrong. But let me tell you something. I'm out. I look at tons of message boards, read tons of comments in a lot of different places, and I rarely see people requesting Spyro. Now, I'm sure if they made the announcement, there'd be people hyped, but I don't really see people fired up about it. So if you want to see Spyro, let me see you. Let me hear you. Nothing right now.
All right. Where are y'all at? All right. So let's go ahead. Mission 1 is complete. We can move on into the second mission. Now, the second mission is going to be Capcom titles that need a comeback. And I'm going to be starting this one off for us. So this is going to be just titles that we feel that need to return from Capcom. Capcom, what you doing? You are asleep right now. We love Street Fighter, but come on now. Come on now. Come on now. So let's go ahead. Let's get into this. Mission starts now. All right. So first and foremost, this is a title that we thought was going to be brought back. I haven't heard much about it in a few years, a year or two or so, and that is Breath of Fire. Now, Breath of Fire is a classic. Not only was the gameplay original and innovative, but the storyline behind all of the titles is just always fantastic. The animation that they would use, the cutscenes, was always great. But for some reason, it seems like Breath of Fire has been put on the shelf. There was talks of a Breath of Fire 6. I've been trying to find any information about it actually being released. I know there was a lot of artwork and things that was released for it, but there's still no fruition for it. So I'd love to see Breath of Fire in general to come back. I'd even like to see spin-offs of Breath of Fire. It doesn't necessarily have to even be a direct RPG, but I feel like the lore of Breath of Fire would just be cool, even if they wanted to switch it up. It's an MMO, switch it up as whatever different type of game they would like to do. Even like an action game would be kind of cool in the vein of Breath of Fire. Of course, it wouldn't be a shooter, but it would be cool being able to transform into a dragon, different power-ups, different characters. Imagine being able to create your own character, create your own different level of dragon to transform into. It would just be sick. And I definitely miss Breath of Fire. It's one of those titles that I loved as a kid. Breath of Fire 3 is in my top 15, possibly top 10 of games of all time.
My goodness.
So I would love to see Breath of Fire come back. Second, I would love to see, and I'm so shocked that this has not happened because this is one of the best games to be on Dreamcast, Power Stone. What's up with Power Stone?
Man, and you know what? I was reading a comment about that the other day, and I think I might have to agree with someone. They said the way Capcom does business nowadays, they're actually concerned if they were to make a Power Stone 3. So they were like, just go ahead and just re-release 1 and 2. Don't even make 3, because I feel like the DLC will be through the roof. You'd have to pay $20 a gem now.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I did not think about that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
And the only closest thing that there is now is an indie game called Last Fight, and I did a review for it on the website, and it was just basically a love letter to that game, and it's like, well, if you guys are going to make it, I guess we will. So.
Yeah, I just feel like there was so much potential in the game. It was original. You can get your power ups. The battle royal style fights in there. The levels were cool, especially now on this gen of game console that we have now. It just imagine how massive of the stages could be, all of the different power ups, all of the different weapons, and all of that stuff that you could have in the game. It would just be dope to have a group of friends come over and you just put hands on all of them with whatever it may be. Throw some rubber chickens to fight with or whatever to switch it up a little bit. Hey, it would be dope. That's just my opinion. I always loved Power Stone, so that would be a cool one to see come back. What are you thinking, KJ?
You ready for me, man?
Yes, sir.
Man, I got a lot on my mind, but I'm just going to start off with the thing I always start off with. I always write about it. I'm always telling everybody I know about it. Guys, that really solidified PlayStation 2 for me. That it's the game that first reached out to me like, hey, you need to go ahead and get you a PlayStation 2. The controls of their first Resident Evil, and they pretty much just replaced Resident Evil stuff with feudal Japan. And instead of shooting zombies, you're cutting them with a samurai sword. And I'm talking about Onimusha. Now, Onimusha 3 Demon Siege still probably has my all-time favorite cinematic movie to date, even still, because the action is on point. It sells the entire game. It gets you hyped, even though it's not real gameplay. It still sells everything. I loved 1, 2, and 3. 4 is pretty decent too, but for some reason they've skipped several generations of systems and just will not give us another Onimusha. See, it's not forgotten in my mind, but clearly to Capcom it is.
Is it because they can't figure out how to actually put DLC in the game?
That has to be it. They would actually have to sit down and design levels. And yeah, I don't know why they just neglect the time, but I will keep requesting it till I'm blue in the face. And another game that is really good too. Now I can understand this not being as in high demand just because it wasn't that popular when it came out. I'll admit, very good fighting, just like Onimusha. So it's called Shadow of Rome, and it had some stealth missions that really weren't the best, to be honest with you. But the fighting is actually still some of the best. I did a video back in the day comparing that combat to Rise Son of Rome. And I even still put Shadow of Rome's combat over Rise. Though Rise, of course, has the graphics. Shadow of Rome, man, was so violent. And let me tell you, man, it was just so satisfying when you were taking people out and you could even make the crowd happy.
Yeah.
And by doing so, they would give you food. And they'd throw it from the crowd to you and say, hey, here, use this. There was so much that was coming at you. It was just a fantastic action game. I wish they would have did away with that stealth. And then the other one, now this is a little bit more popular for people. They even did a show on the WB.
Before you move on, I just want to add a little bit on the Shadow of Rome. It doesn't make sense that this game is not remade right now without the stealth mode. The game is fantastic, especially now with the gen of console that we have, with the consoles, what they can do. It only makes sense to have a game like that. Especially, imagine that game online. Like, it would just,
oh man,
like come on, like it just. You
could cut people's legs off and use them as weapons. Corey, I could take a man's leg and beat you with that man's leg.
It's just Coliseum style fighting. I mean, that's the type of game that should be Major League Gaming there. Come on now. What are you doing, Capcom?
Why not?
So, sorry about that. Let's move on to the next one. My bad about that.
Oh, you're good. That need to be addressed.
Yeah, man. Online, Shadow of Rome, where y'all at?
And so the next one they made, it was a show on Kids WB. And I actually bought this game and Ludicrous Chicken and Beer. They both came out on this same Tuesday. I got Chicken and Beer and Beautiful Joe on the GameCube. Henshin a Go-Go, baby. That's what he used to say. And he was he transformed into this superhero who could control time. He'd slow it down, and when he'd slow down time, his combos would do an amazing amount of hit damage. And he could speed it up when he'd speed things up very fast, but he'd also set enemies on fire because he was then throwing strikes so fast. This just had a style about itself. It looked very goofy. So at first I was like, I don't know. The trailer I saw, just how you go about beating people up, I knew that this was going to be something special. So I just taking a chance. And it really paid off, man. It is just oozing with style. Because it was cel shaded, it still holds up visually. They did a sequel, like a Smash Brothers ripoff game of it. I don't know how that was. And they also did a port on the S. So there was at one point high demand for Beautiful Joe. And honestly, if they made a true third game, I would buy it without hesitation, despite I'm sure it would be DLC on DLC. I'd still have to get it. Because Beautiful Joe was the truth. And a challenging game, too. My goodness, it got difficult.
And for honorable mentions here, I want to just throw in, I'm sure this will never happen. Maybe. Who knows? Or maybe, and I might be mistaken, but Mega Man? Is there a Mega Man game coming out?
There actually, I believe it is. If it's not this week, it's next week. There's just going to be another compilation of classic Mega Man games. So, but not really though.
They need to make a new Mega Man game.
This.
I mean, I'll take.
Yeah, they should.
I mean, I'll take a compilation, but they need to just make a. I mean, after Mighty Number 9, people want it. Just make it good. Like people want the game, so just make it Capcom.
Yeah, that's the thing. Other companies have to keep making your games for you. Like Last Fight, Mighty Number 9, because you won't make the game, so people are like, "Well, I guess we'll come up with a substitute." So,
and it's like it's never as good. So, I mean. You have all these titles in your arsenal. You could, I mean, make this money, Capcom. What are you doing, or do you not have the money to do it? That might be the issue. Maybe
the thing is, the whole show, maybe they're just pissed broke because we could really, honestly, and this is real talk, our Mission 3 episode dedicated to forgotten Capcom games because I could just go on all night long. A sad fact. I've never seen a company in this modern era sit on so many solid gold IPs and do nothing and not acknowledge they exist.
And you ask them about it, they just hit you with the shrug, like, maybe. Well, maybe we'll. I don't know. There's always a possibility that we could still make the title. Like, no, man.
Street Fighter, Resident Evil. Street Fighter, Resident Evil. Street Fighter, Resident Evil. All right.
Get that money, I guess, but I mean, at a certain point, they're gonna have to try to make us happy, man. They're gonna have to try to make us happy. All right, so second mission is complete. What do you think? Do you think we successfully passed the mission? I feel like we officially stopped like right when the alarm went off. I don't know. You guys out there, let us know what you think. If you think we failed any of the missions, hit us up on Twitter at Mission3Podcast on Twitter. Again, that's at Mission3 Podcast on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Did we successfully pass the second mission? Did we really pass the first mission? Let us know what you think as we get into the third and final mission here. Mission 3, the title of the show, as well as the title of the third mission, of course. So we are going to be going in on our favorite soundtrack / score of a game or games in general, because some of my picks, it's kind of over a broad scope, because some titles in general typically will just always have great music. So the best music in video games or the best soundtrack. But before we get into that, I do want you guys to know about an article we do have up on playlegit.net. We actually have an article about the top gaming soundtracks, and that's by our good buddy here. I'm sorry again. This is I always get this wrong. Nisi005. Nisi.
He's fine with that.
Perfect.
Nessie005.
Nessie005. And this is, I mean, he has a pretty good list out here. His top 10, I don't want to go through all of them, so I'll just show you maybe number 10 here. We have Mega Man X for the SNES. Number 9, we have Castlevania. If you want to check out whatever else is in that list, I'm telling you, they're great soundtracks. And you can also listen to the soundtracks from the page here. So make sure you go check out some of this cool music. Some of these games on this list will more than likely mention here tonight for you as well. So if you want to check out these soundtracks, check out this article on playlegit.net by our good friend Nisi005, top gaming soundtracks. And also, when we post up the rebroadcast of the show on Friday, we'll also have links to our picks as well, so you can check out the music of some of our favorite games here.
I just need y'all to have your headphones ready for this real talk,
because it is bumping. So, KJ, if you want to start us off, we will start Mission 3. Mission starts now.
Now, this brother, Michael Jackson, okay, not only did he work with Sega on his own game for Genesis, he also worked on his game in the arcade and both of them were for Michael Jackson Moonwalker. And there's a very, because of the hardware, arcade systems were very powerful. So there's a sound difference in both versions, but they're both they both are very good to listen to. They both sound really cool. And actually, I would when we're done here because there's just different versions of his popular songs like Smooth Criminal. It's just cool to hear them in video game format. And there's also very strong rumors that he too worked on Sonic and Sonic 2 and 3, putting together some of the music there. So that Sonic has a great soundtrack, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, it's been told that Michael Jackson's influence was felt all up in that.
Oh snap! MJ the greatest, man. And I mean, how is the soundtrack not going to be amazing? And it kind of saddens me that Sega. I mean, they kind of fell off. I mean, they're coming back because we're going to talk about this. They're coming back, but they always had great relationships, and it was just kind of sad to see what happened. But hopefully, they can bounce back. Maybe they'll come back. I don't ever expect to see a console from them ever again, but they'll bounce back with Sonic here. Maybe they'll bounce back with some other titles as well. But let's get into Sonic 2 because, like you mentioned, MJ had a little bit of influence, allegedly had influence on the first two Sonic games, and those soundtracks are phenomenal. Now, the music, not only is it good, but it's also catchy. I mean, 25 years later, I still recognize all of the music from Sonic. Literally, I was at work earlier today, and Sonic, it wasn't a mashup, but it was music that used the Sonic music sampled. But it was like it sounded like they just kind of added to it a little bit, and it was literally dope. I was like, oh snap, I know that song. I'll never forget that song. I mean, that's the song from the Emerald World in Sonic. It's just amazing every single time. It never fails. It is just great. And now, Sonic Mania coming out for the Switch. KJ sent me a link a couple weeks ago, and the music that they released, at least this first song, I'm gonna have to say, if all the music for this game is going to be as good as the song that they released, they have another hit soundtrack that I might even just buy the soundtrack because the song was so good. I literally, like, how many of you guys out there listen to video game music on MP3 all the way through? Typically it'll get repetitive. Nah, man, this song was switching up. We got drops, we got some bass in it, we got the music is just phenomenal for Sonic Mania, and Sonic in general, it always has great music. So I'm super pumped for Sonic Mania, as well as the soundtrack. Whenever I can buy that, I saw that they're selling it on vinyl,
Yes.
on I believe it's yellow vinyl. I need to pick that up for the record player because literally this is music that I'll just chill and listen to. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just good to see a game like this come back. And for those hating on it, coming back old school, you got Sonic Forces, so you got yourself modern Sonic. They didn't take that away from you.
You got
and we got the real shit right here.
You got the bandages.
Yeah, exactly.
You got what you wanted. You
got what you wanted. Now we're getting what we one.
You got Buff Knuckles. Yeah.
Right. You got both of them.
Also, man, another great soundtrack. I just want to bring this up really quick. And I don't have a playback for it. I'm sorry, so you guys won't be seeing this in the background. But Chrono Trigger is going to be, I mean, in my opinion, this is going to be the greatest score that was ever scored for a video game. Now, people may call me a Chrono Trigger stan. People may say that I'm always riding with Square for some reason, but I'm telling you, this music is great. This music is great. Hey, I'm sorry. It is what it is. All I'm saying is, not only is the music great, the music is so good, it is sampled by people that you wouldn't even expect to even know the music for their songs. Now, let me bring this up. Now, Chrono Trigger itself has been sampled by Wiz Khalifa, Dash and Shah Hef, and the One Ups, and that's just one song. That's the Shawless theme. Okay. Now, The Secret of the Forest has also been sampled by Wiz Khalifa and Rick Ross, as well as Dom Kennedy for the song Locals Only, which is literally probably one of my favorite songs. So there's a lot of rappers here sampling this music from Chrono Trigger. I don't know, maybe they played the game, maybe it set in their subconscious and they really liked it, so they wanted to sample it eventually somewhere down the line. I always wanted to kind of dig into that, but I wasn't able to find any information on that. Also, the Kingdom Trial has been sampled by Fav 2011. We have more from Chrono Trigger being sampled by Young Dolph and Mega Ran and K Murdoch. I know you gamers out there know about Mega Ran. He definitely always kills everything, and you know he had to slay a Chrono Trigger track. The One Ups has also sampled him, as well as Y2 Cracker and a guy named Jay Sanders. And then, Y2 Crackers actually sampled him a couple times. There's a group called Evidence and Daniel Tidwell have also sampled Chrono Trigger. So what I'm saying is a ton of people have sampled this. If this soundtrack was garbage, they wouldn't have sampled it at all. And this is multiple songs by multiple people. Some are platinum recording artists that have actually sampled Chrono Trigger. Now, I literally have the soundtrack of Chrono Trigger downloaded on my phone, and whenever my phone rings with a text message, the Frog's theme plays just because it's so dope. I would sing it for you, but I don't want us to get struck by it, so I won't do that. But it literally is a dope song. So all in all, Chrono Trigger, in my opinion, it's an original score. I mean, it's not like this is just people that just sat in a room with a synthesizer and just made 8-bit music for a SNES game. No, this is a full orchestra that was orchestrated to come up with this music. It's literally some of the best music made, in my opinion. The composer went on to make more music for Square, made more music for the sequels to Chrono Trigger, as well as the soundtrack has been released 5 times by Square. So people love this music, people buy this music, people sample this music, people live with this music, and I will say, if not the best score ever in a game, top 3 best scores ever in a video game.
I would say the same thing about Donkey Kong Country. I don't have it right in front of me all the times it's been sampled, but it's happened quite a bit. Underwater level's been sampled several times. There's other great levels. Fear Factory is a really good level that's been used a lot. I really love that soundtrack to Donkey Kong Country. And the other one that I'd like to say big time is Killer Instinct. And this actually applies to the original game, and you can use it for the modern game. Both of them, the composers, they're able to get some really nice songs going. And times, Mick Gordon, he also did the music for the newest Doom, and he won multiple awards for his Doom soundtrack. But yeah, he worked on a lot of music in the modern Killer Instinct, and the old one was done by Rare, and of course Rare did the Donkey Kong Country. So it's like it's just Rare, and people who were involved in Rare just know good music. Apparently, like that's just what it is. Mm-hmm. Hands on the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. Get your hands on the Killer Instinct old one and the remake. Both of them, you're going to find yourself some good stuff to listen to. And I wanted to read on the Discord line, we had a couple of our members from Play Legit give their favorite songs. Miss Throwback said only likes the music in The Legend of Zelda. For sure, she said they orchestrated in a concert form. And also Derek Haggy shout out, because I agree with this, Hotline Miami. And it has that whole retro wave 80s vibe to it.
That's what's up. That is what's up. Well, It looks like we have successfully completed the third and final mission. I mean, great scores. Like I said, when we repost this on Friday, we'll make sure we have links to all of these different soundtracks for you guys. Some of them may just be individual songs. I'll try to make sure we get all of the complete soundtracks for you guys, though, so you can check them out. Or you guys could also just play these games and hear it for yourself, because that's going to maybe be not the easiest way for you to actually hear it, but it's going to be a nice way for you to experience the game and the music and really live with the music the way, you know, it was designed for you to live with it. So definitely had a lot of fun tonight. Some great topics that we covered. How do you feel about all of the missions? Do you think we successfully made it through? Do you think we may have failed a couple of them? What do you think? Do you think we passed it tonight, man?
Man, I think the third one, man, I think I still had more to say and then I had more to read. So I feel like that, yeah, I think we kind of failed that third one, but I think 1 and 2 went very well.
Nice. Yeah, because I would say that I would actually add a couple other titles. I was going to throw in Donkey Kong 64 actually really had a really good soundtrack too. When you mentioned Donkey Kong, I was like, oh yeah. Then I started thinking, I was like, Donkey Kong 64 was really, like the music was really good in that. Rare kind of snapped with that again. So, yeah, other than that, also Final Fantasy over time, so many different Final Fantasy games. Not necessarily each game has a great complete score. A lot of them do. But there's a lot of great music throughout Final Fantasy in general. As well as Mario. How can we forget Super Mario? The theme for Super Mario is probably the most recognizable songs probably ever, at least in video gaming. So
Yeah. So here's what's going to happen, guys. We're gonna revisit this in the future because there's just more to be said. There's just too many great that wasn't addressed tonight. It's just impossible to do in 10 minutes. But I feel like, you know, we did a whole lot, but there's still more missions to cover.
So we definitely want your guys' input. We definitely appreciate everybody that hung out in the chat tonight. Let us know what you guys thought about the show. You can follow me and hit me up on Twitter at Corey Elijah. KJ, you can find him at Play Legit across the board. And let us know what you thought about the show. Let us know if you have any mission ideas. Let us know what you think in general. Also, make sure you stop by at Mission 3 Podcast. Again, that's at Mission, the number 3 Podcast on Twitter. Hit us with a follow there, but make sure you stay in tune with that page there because that's where you're able to vote for the agent's requested mission every week. Typically, like I said, every second mission is going to be an agent's requested mission. Today we released the heel name for myself, Dreadlock, because we wanted a little bit of help with that. So we selected all the missions this week. But next week we'll be back with the agent's request, allowing you to select what our second mission will be. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at Mission 3 Podcast so you can vote in that poll, as well as stop by our Facebook page, Mission 3 on Facebook. We have a lot of content that goes up there as well. You can watch the show there live if you're not watching it on YouTube every Monday at 10:30 Eastern Time. Also, there's a lot of updates that happen there, or if you just want to communicate with us, you can find us there as well. So make sure you stop by there. Stop by Play Legit on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, check out Mission 3 on Instagram as well. We always have cool posts up there. We ask questions, all that cool stuff there as well. But of course, you want to stop by playlegit.net because, again, that is the premier location. That is the hub for gaming and real talk and the home of the Mission 3 podcast. You can find us uploaded. There every Friday afternoon. Sometimes it's a little later, sometimes a little earlier, but just know on Friday you will find the Mission 3 podcast live every Monday here. Same great time, same great place. Other than that, if you have anything to add, KJ, before we get out of here.
Man, we will come back to this soundtrack because I got more business to handle. We're going to come back, you hear me? And Capcom, make more games. Y'all don't do enough.
Not nearly enough. And you don't they don't even have to literally come up with any new ideas. You literally have to just make what you've made before, just new. Simple as that. So, guys out there, ladies, gentlemen, guys, everybody out there, let us know what you guys thought about tonight's podcast. We definitely appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will be back next week, same great time, same great place. The Mission 3 podcast, and mission's complete. Peace.
Deuces.